Hey, welcome to Leo's Book Reviews. This is the monthly wrap up this for the month of May. I know I'm late. It's been a busy month with all the books and the other podcasts and all that other stuff. But got a lot of books to go over that I read in the month of May and so let's just get to it. I don't have a lot of the books with me because a lot of them were library books, so I can keep those around with me. I'm going to kind of put it into category order. So I'm going to go over the fiction, usually fantasy, mostly romantasy that I read first. Then I'm going to go over the middle grade books that I read, and then the nonfiction World War II literature that I have been reading, and then other nonfiction that I have been reading. So, jump right into it. The first book for the month of May was Stolen Ice Bride by Angela J. Ford. This followed the story of Solveig, who is a potion maker, alchemist in a village in a tundra area. She is chosen by the Mage King to be his bride. She does not want that for various reasons that are explained later and runs away. But in the process of running away, she gets kidnapped by what she thinks is an ice giant, and he is taking her to his kingdom to ransom her back to the Mage King in order to save his people. It was a really good novel. I will say up front, there was no spice, so if you're looking for a no spice novel, this one will be there. There was definitely some kisses, some yearning. It wasn't a bad book. I enjoyed reading it at the time. Looking back, it didn't really stick in my brain, so I think I gave this a 4-star on Goodreads. Solveig was an interesting character. I will say I loved the twist at the end, which I'm not going to spoil here, and how it was resolved, and all of the thoughts and feelings that Solveig went through while she was being kidnapped basically by this ice giant, as well as the revelations that came throughout the story. Angela J. Ford did a really good job of presenting that and of presenting their feelings and how they felt about presenting their feelings and how they interacted with each other was really nice and unique, and I did enjoy that. So yeah, if you're looking for a good romantasy with no spice, Angela J. Ford's Stolen Ice Bride. It is part of her series of the Stolen Brides of the Fae. I believe it's number 5 of that series. I haven't really read any of the others, so I can't speak to the rest of the books of that series. I have read Angela J. Ford before. I did enjoy her books. I'm looking forward to picking up another one of hers to see how her writing changes as we go. The next next 3 books are part of a series called the Leafshire Cove Monsters series. These are all by Lila Appleton. These are all heavy spice, good spice. If you're looking for a spice book, these are some good spice. The first book is When the Witch Met the Minotaur. This is book number 3, I believe. And this is about the Witch of Leafshire Cove running into a magical problem that is supposedly being caused by a Minotaur, basically scientist that has come into town who is also selling magic, which she has a large problem with because that is her. So the witch Tully is having issues with Argos, the Minotaur, because the magic he's bringing is messing with the magic in Leafshire Cove, and she has to fix that. And she is definitely physically attracted to Argos, so that is also a problem that she has to quote unquote fix, which she does. And they actually end up working really well together, and it's a fun, lighthearted story with some serious stakes and also introducing more of the Leafshire Cove citizens. So the third book in this series, When the Witch Met the Minotaur is the second book of the series. When the Baker Met the Dragon is the third book in the series, and this follows Kaya the Baker and Cyrus the Dragon Shifter Tavern owner. This is very much a shy girl playboy kind of story. Kaya is a shy girl. She is content with her bakery. She will stay in her bakery and be good with that. Cyrus is the, always talking to people, extrovert, dragon shifter of the town. But it's also interesting because he is the only dragon shifter in the town and he's never met another dragon shifter. So he's also exploring that part of his past in this book, and that does make it really fascinating. But yeah, them getting together, they've known each other for years, and he always thinks that he's not good enough for her. And then another plot twist happens, and they have to get together. And for even though it's a shy girl romance, it is heavily spiced, and it is a very good spice. So highly suggest that one as well if you are interested in that. And then the last book of the Leafshire Cove Monsters is book 5, When the Innkeeper Met the Vampire. By far my favorite. I love Archer the vampire, and I love Colette the innkeeper. And probably part what I love is that they are both authors, so I can actually really relate to these two characters, as I am an author as well. And it's hilarious how Lila Appleton has portrayed the two extremes of authors. Archer the vampire is a very, very organized, very detailed, meticulous planner, and Colette is a pantser, writing by the seat of her pants, has nothing planned out, and when they are forced by their publishers to write a short story together, sparks fly. And it is also a sentient inn, which was different for me, but that was kind of fun, watching the inn put them into awkward situations. But yeah, all 3 of these books, if you like spice, if you like the different romances coming together, highly suggest all of them. Lila Appleton is a wonderful author, does really good. I will occasionally go back and reread scenes in these books just because I enjoyed them so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing what she comes up with next. The next book on the list is Agnes Auber's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. I actually just reviewed this on the podcast too. It is just an adorable little book. Again, pre-warning, there is no spice to this book. But it's about Agnes Aubert, who lives in Montreal, and it's a modern day Montreal, but at the same time there are wizards. And she was running a cat shelter, and 2 wizards held a duel in front of her shop and literally blew up the street. So she has to go find a new cat shelter building to house her cat shelter. And it turns out the only building that she can afford that is suitable for the cat shelter that the landlord will tolerate is owned by a dark wizard named Havelock, who is the premier dark wizard of the world, who tried to cause an apocalypse a few years ago. And that is Agnes Aubert trying to deal with all of this and coming to terms with her feelings about wizards and realizing what had happened and being able to help Havelock in his quest to stop this from happening again. It is just really cute. I love the romance scenes between Agnes and Havelock. They are just an adorable pair, and it's very much the very meticulous, organized person type A personality meeting the disorganized wizard hoarder of magical items. So that was fun to watch because I feel like I have not magical items per se, but I have definitely been one of the people that likes to organize and catalog. I know it may not look like it looking at my background, but I promise there's an order to it. But yeah, it's really cute. It's really sweet. Heather Fawcett does a great job with the story and how everything ties together in the end. I also love how she presents the cats and just how important they are to Agnes. They're not just cats. They're her friends. They're her rescues. They're her family. And I also like that she is a widow. Her husband had passed away, so she is not just some, young woman who's never had a lover before or anything. She is a widow and coming to terms with her new feelings for Havelock, and while still not forgetting her first husband. I really did enjoy that part of the book. So definitely recommend it. if you like a cute little romantasy. I wouldn't call it cozy because there are literally world-ending stakes happening within the book, but it's as cozy as it can be with having those stakes. Next book is The Necromancer's Guide to Grave Mistakes by Melissa Wright. I got this book off of her Kickstarter. This is a Cinderella retelling following Eleanor Morgrave, who is a necromancer. She has that magic. Unfortunately, in this kingdom, if you are not officially recognized by the High Necromancer of the kingdom who answers to the king, it is illegal for you to practice her magic. Unfortunately for Eleonora, she has a problem with putting things back to death sleep that she wakes up from death. And so she has this little menagerie following her around the entire time. But the other part of the story is that her father has died. He was, I believe, murdered, and she has to prove through his paperwork that she was supposed to inherit the title of High Cinder, which is the High Necromancer of the kingdom. So it was interesting. I didn't realize when I first went into it that it was a Cinderella retelling, but that did become apparent fairly quickly, especially with the names, because her nickname is Ella. And honestly, I enjoyed it. I think there was a lot of plot. There were a lot of characters. There's a lot of things that never actually got wrapped up in the story. It was a relatively short novel. I think there was just too much. I think either she needed to slim down on some of the characters, or she needed to expand the book to really complete all of the plot lines that she introduced. I feel like there were some threads left hanging. There was also some implied situations in the book that I didn't understand. For instance, she would look at the prince and they would both understand something, and I had no idea what they were talking about. So I feel like she could have been a little clearer in some of the situations. But overall, it was a good book. Again, no spice. If you're looking for a no spice book, this is a good one to go with. Shorter book, short read. I did enjoy it. I don't think I enjoyed it so much I gave it a 5-star. But, I mean, it's not a good, light, easy tale to pick up. I wouldn't call it cozy fantasy again because there are stakes. There was never like a quiet, danger-free moment in the book. Like, I totally understood that she was on the run from being prosecuted as an unlicensed necromancer, but there was never, as shown in the book, a time where she was able to just relax and reflect on everything that had been happening. So, I feel like that could have been put in there to let the reader breathe a little bit, because it felt like every 5 seconds something else was happening and she was having to run again. So, yeah, that was The Necromancer's Guide to Grave Mistakes by Melissa Wright. And then the last of the fantasy fiction books is Behooved by M. Stevenson. I loved this book. Behooved, it was so cute. There is spice. It was good spice. But the basic premise of the story is, in Behooved, the main character, Bianca, is a princess of a kingdom. She has an arranged marriage with the prince, soon to be king of another kingdom. And she goes off to this arranged marriage and gets married. And on their wedding night, an assassin comes for the king. And she casts a spell to protect the king, turns him into a horse. And they crash out the window together in order to save themselves from the assassin. And then this starts them on a quest of trying to save the kingdom whilst trying to stay alive. The curse exists such as that he is a horse in the daytime and a man by night. So I also really loved that it dealt with the logistics of a shapeshifter who is an unwilling shapeshifter, and the clothing situation and having to stay warm in the winter. And all of that really, I think, was well set out by M. Stevenson. I loved the banter. I loved the sister. The sister was fantastic, and I loved how she came into the story like the whirlwind that she is, and straight up helped save them. And yeah, if any of the books that you liked from this list that I'm giving you today, I would definitely pick up Behoved by M. Stevenson. It is adorable. It is cute. There are world-ending stakes. They have to survive. They have to work together to survive, and it's a reluctant alliance, forced proximity, all of the fun. There's a one-bed trope in there. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really highly suggested. I did give it a 5 stars on Goodreads. The last fiction book that I have to talk about is called Pepper's Quest by Felicity Brown. This is a book in the Bella Sara series that was based off of the Bella Sara's trading cards that came out in the early aughts. I have been reading this middle grade series. I'm so close to being done with it. Pepper's Quest is one of the last books of the series. The main character of the book is a young girl named Jillian who teams up with a horse named Pepper. And in this world of North of North, horses are magical creatures that can communicate telepathically with people. And so that is how Pepper and Jillian end up coming together, as well as their wolf friend Connor, and goes along with them as well. It's a very cute middle grade book. It's fast paced. It has horses in it, which is always going to get at least add a star for me. If you like just little short light reads of middle grade, you liked horses, you have fond memories of the Bella Sara trading cards, then yeah, I'd suggest seeing if you can find these and pick them up. I've read the entire series up to this point so far, and they're all really good. I enjoyed all of them. They're a little deceiving because you think that it's going to have the main character be the horse that's on the cover, and it's usually a young girl that is going through some kind of trial, and the magical horse is coming to help her through that trial. So once I got into that mindset, I was okay, and I understood these books, and I was able to enjoy them in that way. Moving on to the nonfiction books, the first 3 books I'm going to go through, a little preface. I have been reading a lot of World War II nonfiction literature focused on the women and what roles they served in World War II, possibly looking at writing historical fiction about World War II. So I am making sure I do all of the correct research for it before I attempt to start on that. So the first book on this list is The Women with Silver Wings by Katherine Sharp Landeck. And this book focuses on the WASP pilots of the Air Force and the beginning of their regiment. I don't know if that's the right term. The beginning of their squad, how it was formed, who formed it, what names were at play, the evolution and how they ended up helping fly some of the biggest planes in the world. And they never got to go fly overseas, but they were the ones that, took the planes from the factories to the airfields, from the airfields to the military bases. They taught people how to fly the planes. They did a lot of stuff, and it was amazing just how much they had done. I had heard of the WASP before, but I hadn't really gotten into their story, and that's what this did for me. It also continued with the legacy of the WASP and how they were treated afterwards, how they had to fight for their benefits as Air Force veterans, and how that all happened and who was involved in it. And, and it didn't leave behind the people that had founded the WASP. It told us what happened with them and where they went with their lives after the war. It was really fascinating. I really enjoyed reading it and getting the lowdown, basically, of what the WASP pilots did in World War II and how they were treated before, during, and after the war. So, very good book. If you're interested in that kind of history, definitely suggest it. Katherine Sharp Landeck did a great job of making it an interesting nonfiction book. There were no dry moments like she really did make you relate to the people of this book and remember that they were real people. And made you connect and empathize with them. So she was a good author in that respect for sure. The second book was A Woman of No Importance by Sonia Purnell. This book follows the story of Virginia Hall, who was a spy during World War II for first England and then the USA. And it was a really fascinating book. Virginia Hall actually, before the war, lost part of her leg. So through the entire war, she is dealing with a prosthetic leg, as well as after the war and how everything happened. And she loves the country of France, and she ends up becoming a spy within the country of France during the occupation, and feeds secret messages back to first England. And then when England recalls her, she goes to work for the American OSS, which is the precursor to the NSA, I believe. And yeah, it's just her story, her courage, as well as it's called A Woman of No Importance because she did not like to be acknowledged. She did not like to be publicly acknowledged for her merits and achievements. And that kind of carried on throughout her life. She actually got the Presidential Medal of Freedom or Honor. I'm sorry, I don't remember for certain. It was definitely one of the higher civilian awards. And yeah, she basically just picked it up at the desk later and said, hey, cool, I got it. But Virginia Hall was a really important spy during the war. Several times in the book, it's mentioned that the information she'd fed back to the Britain and to the USA helped pave the way for the success of D-Day and the landing at Normandy. And it was a really fascinating look into a woman's role as a spy during World War II. This focused on just one of the spies of World War II. I know I'm going to be reading more books later concerning different other people and other spies, but this was the first one. And Virginia Hall was one tough lady with all that she went through. So, and Sonia Purnell, again, did a great job at making it a true biography of Virginia Hall. It was not dry. It was not boring. She did a great job of keeping Virginia relatable so the reader could empathize with her and really connect with her and also saw the rest of her legacy and how she lived out the rest of her life. So yeah, really fascinating book if you're interested in specifically the spy side of things in World War II. Woman of No Importance by Sonia Purnell, which tells the story of Virginia Hall. The last World War II book that I have for you today is Irina's Children by Tyler J. Mazzeo. This focuses on Irina Schindler, who was a woman who helped rescue children out of the Warsaw Ghetto in Poland during the occupation. Virginia Hall's story was rough, but this was by far the most intense book that I have read so far of the World War II literature that I'm reading, and that is because it dealt with the genocide and persecution of the Jewish people in the Warsaw Ghetto in Poland by the Hitler Germany. And it was rough. It was hard to get through. It was very raw. It was very real. Tyler J. Mazzeo definitely told you exactly how it was and was honest through everything. There was no sugarcoating on any of this. It took me a minute to get through it because of how intense it was, and it's a good reminder reading this that you don't want ever to see this happen again. I think one of the most horrifying scenes that I read in this is during the final all-out genocide of the Jewish people in the ghetto when they were fighting back. There was a spring festival going on, and the people in Warsaw would get on the Ferris wheel to go to the top of the Ferris wheel because they could see inside the ghetto past the wall that had been built around it and see the firefights happening. And that was devastating to me to think that people would do that. It's very intense. Again, Mazeo, like the other two before her, did an amazing job in telling it exactly like it was and making you feel for these people and remembering that they were real people and that their lives mattered and happened, and you don't want history to repeat itself. So, the brighter side of this book is that Irina did smuggle out thousands upon thousands, I believe 2,500 children out of the Warsaw Ghetto to safety so that the population could have a future and survive. So I know I kind of bring that up as a last minute thing, but that was a huge theme in the book. And it is definitely something to admire about Irina and everything that she did. I'd also, like the other two, goes on and tells about the legacy of Irina and how her life ended up after the war. Okay, moving on. The last nonfiction book I have for you is called Artemis by Monte Plaisance. This is a almost pamphlet put out by the Thessalian religion of modern day, and it was basically a pamphlet on Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and the moon, twin sister of Apollo from Greek mythology. It is definitely addressed to people in modern day who are worshiping Artemis, and it helps you translate from the ancient Greek philosophies and moralities into today's modern take on the gods and how you can worship them today. It was a really good book. I'm not sure I should have picked up the hard copy of it, but I'm a sucker for a hard copy. I will always pick up those books, especially when I'm doing research. But it was a good starter pamphlet and gave me a few things that I didn't know before about Artemis, gave me some of her myths and legends that I hadn't heard before, as well as some ways to acknowledge and her presence and worship her in modern day. So if you're looking for something like that in that research vein, it's a good starting point. I'm sure there are other books out there that are thicker with more information, but this one was a good starting point. So yeah, that was my May wrap up. I'm sorry it's late because life happens. Keep an eye on this channel. I'm still posting shorts. I'm still giving you, I already have a whole list of books I've already finished for the month of June. You're going to see more fiction romantasy coming up. You're going to see more World War II literature coming up. I have another Bella Sara book to review if you're interested in those. But yeah, keep an eye on here, and I will see you on YouTube Shorts, and then I'll see you in the longer video wrap-ups in July sometime. Alrighty, bye-bye.